the AI tools out there are advancing really quick. And so I think what differentiates a successful business from a not successful business in the next 2 years, 5 years, is having proprietary data.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Behind the Franchise. I'm your host, Paul Ehlinger. I'm super excited today. We've got one of the best founders in the pet care space with us on the show, Tim Vogel, CEO and founder at Scenthound. Tim, welcome to the show.
Paul, thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to the conversation today.
Yeah, I found out today it's World Franchise Day, apparently. Did you know that?
I did not.
I think
Fantastic.
the IFA just made it a thing. I saw it posted on LinkedIn. So what better day than today to have a conversation about franchising?
Go IFA. I love it. Fantastic.
Exactly. Tim, obviously, a lot of people know you, but maybe if you wouldn't mind, give us, the quick career background of how the heck you got here and what you're doing today.
Yeah, so Tim Vogel, founder and CEO of Scenthound. How I ended up here is a long journey, but I actually have always had the entrepreneurial bug, but never had the confidence to do it. So I actually got a job with a big company, did that for a while, moved to a mid-sized company, did that for a while, and ultimately worked for a startup.
Yeah.
And kind of those three experiences, kind of from a lot of structure to less structure, gave me more and more confidence that I could do this on my own. And then the startup I was with was going through a merger, and that was really kind of my chance to kind of take the leap. And so that's how we ended up here today.
Yeah, I love that. I've taken the exact same career path. I started off at Medtronic, largest medical device company in the world, and man, did I hate sitting there at a desk on a Tuesday. Nothing worse than being stuck in a large corporation.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I love that. So a lot of today, obviously, so on the show, we always talk about how people build their brand. We're all about brand builders. Another topic we're going to weave in here, I kind of broached with you was, how does the macro economy affect the pet care industry, right? And so I think we'll kind of work through all of that. But maybe starting off with building Scenthound. You started right back in 2005, like early, with this. So maybe walk us through the origins. What was the spark of inspiration once you had the confidence?
Yeah, so had gotten married. Jessica and I got a plant that lived. So then we got a dog. Okay. That survived, and then we had a kid, right? And so that was kind of the order.
You can take care of things progressively.
Yeah. Now we can't keep a plant alive, but that's something
That's
else.
A different story, though. Yeah.
Totally. So kind of just building confidence as we went along the way. But I got this dog, and I started geeking out on kind of like what it was like to raise a dog. And there was this really cool book called The Art of Raising a Puppy by the monks of Newski. And one of the things they talked about is they're pack animals, they're hierarchical, and you've got to establish yourself as the pack leader.
Yeah.
And one of the techniques they used is they said, go out into an open park or an open space with your puppy, take your puppy off leash, put them down, and like walk away from them. And the puppy will see you as the leader and they'll follow. So we were living in the Washington, D.C. area up in Maryland. At the time, I went out to a wooded area. I had this little puppy, kind of 9-10 weeks old.
Yeah.
I put her down. I walked away, and I looked, and she's on my heel, just following me.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. Like, it was such a cool, like, it seemed evolutionary, this bond. And that bond just kind of developed and grew as we learned to train the puppy and create this hierarchical relationship we had with the puppy.
Yeah.
At the same time, I was kind of like wanted to do the entrepreneurial journey. We were going through a merger. And so I started looking at different industries. And I really became fascinated by the pet industry. I was like, this is a really cool thing. I think the human animal bond thing's a really cool thing.
Yeah.
And found out that there was just a lot of money being spent in that space.
Sure.
And started looking at different segments in there, looking at like the doggy daycare thing was just arriving, and getting into the grooming space. I think it was something like 97% of grooming businesses in the U.S. had 3 or less employees. It was just highly fractured.
Yeah. Wow.
At the same time, I was in the car industry. The startup was something called Zipcar, which is a car sharing company. So I ran FlexCar. We merged with Zipcar.
Gotcha.
So I understood kind of at home, this kind of intelligent routing. Amazon was just starting to take off, so at home services. Yeah. And so the big idea I had is let's start a mobile pet grooming business.
Yeah.
At the same time, we did this life by design exercise where like if we could live anywhere in the country, where do we want to live? We had a young child living in DC, wasn't that great.
Sure.
And so we ended up choosing Jupiter, Florida.
Yeah.
It was a really well-known secret at the time. It's no longer a secret. I feel like
just about every PGA professional now lives in Jupiter, from my understanding.
Totally.
Yeah.
And half of the Northeast has moved down here. So, but so we did this quality of life change, and we started a mobile pet grooming business.
Yeah.
And that's really what got us off to the races. So I came down here. I went to grooming school just to understand it.
Sure.
Bought a van. My wife and I, she built the website for us, branded it, hired a groomer, and then really started to deliver services in 2005. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fascinating. And I know, a lot of your brand language is around health, right? And the health of your pet. And it's more than just cleanliness. It's more than looking good and all that stuff. Was that an immediate nuance, or was that something you guys learned as the brand evolved?
Yeah, so we really kind of had that intention from the very beginning. So it was called Bright Eyed Pets was the mobile business. Yeah. And then we had Be Healthy, Be Happy, So healthy was right out of the gate, a part of it. But we didn't, quite honestly, we didn't understand kind of the depth of what that meant until we really spent a lot of time in the industry and just had a deep learning of kind of what dog parents were looking for and kind of what problems were out there.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And I'm curious, over the last 20 years, have you seen that relationship with the dog parent evolve, right? Because I think of my wife and I, we had her family dog was our first kind of joint animal. He passed when he was 16. It was like the loss of a person. We just recently got a cat, first cat for both of us, but that's now our child because we can raise a plant, And she, don't get me wrong, I love Pascal. It is her son. She would give an arm and a leg for Pascal. Have you seen that evolve in the last 20 years?
100%. So pets started coming into the house really in the 50s when fipronil and some other chemicals were invented that allowed people to deal with fleas and ticks. So all of a sudden there were solutions for fleas and ticks where then people started bringing dogs into the home. Yeah. Just in the 20 years that we've been doing it, dogs have come from kind of being a companion or kind of a guard or, other functions around the house to truly being family members. And I think the millennials really kind of accelerated that accelerated the humanization of pets and all the way up into the Z generation now, where you look at some of these crazy statistics where people will spend more on the health and wellness of their pets than they do on themselves. Yeah. I mean, it was like 2 years ago that the Pope was giving a speech and he actually spoke directly to the millennials and he said, it's selfish to have dogs instead of kids. Like he's worried about world population because of the dog ownership.
So, you can't make a dog a Catholic,
Totally. And so I just that's kind of like where it's gone. So, come into the house, now onto the furniture, now in the beds with people, all these other, now they are total family members.
Yeah. That's, it's absolutely fascinating. Is that to what degree was that in 2005? Were you super confident in that? Were you like, man, this is what the market's going to do? What was the driving factor that you really were okay, leaning healthy, executing on this, there's opportunity?
Yeah, we were really in the grooming business. And so we really thought at-home services, that was really the thrust.
That was the nuance, was just let's take it to your house.
Yeah, let's take it to your house. And as we started that business, the learning curve was pretty serious. So any entrepreneur, you're going to bump into a lot of corners. And so it was probably 6 months in where I was like, I can't find employees. There's no licensing. So the quality of technicians out there, finding someone who's comfortable driving these big mobile grooming vans, someone who's really an artist and was able to deliver that quality of artistry around the haircut and could also talk to a customer and be customer service friendly. The combination of those were all unicornish. It was really hard to find people. And then the margins weren't great. Your routing had to be tight and all that stuff. So I was kind of 6 months in, we moved our family to Florida. And I was like, oh my God, what have I done? Literally, this is the biggest mistake I've made in my entire life, right? I was like, I went from a really kind of great job, making a lot of money and a lot of experience on a kind of in the corporate world, and then coming to this entrepreneurial thing with a lot of swagger, and then realizing I didn't know what the heck I was doing, and I had overestimated a whole bunch of stuff. So that was that was my beginning.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's the truest experience, right? And I think you have to start a business to feel that. You have to feel the just the immense esoteric feeling that you've ruined not only your life, but everyone in your family's life.
There's a serious oh shit moment. And it wasn't like a moment, it was like months of oh shit.
Yeah. It's not sleeping for months on end. No, that resonates with me. I hear that. No, I love that. And I think maybe the evolution of that, right? Like, obviously you had the confidence to do it. I think everybody goes through this J curve of you have the initial confidence, you just get the crap beat out of you, and then you finally start coming up. What was that for you guys in the brand? When were you starting to realize, like, holy shit, we might be onto something here?
Yeah, so like the first thing I had to do is I just had to solve this business. It had to actually create at least a lifestyle to help us live. And so I went through a series of things to kind of solve problems. I partnered with the grooming school. I hired people that I liked. I put them in the school 4 days a week, 1 day in a week, the van. They didn't earn out of their tuition. Like, we did all this stuff to make that work.
Yeah.
Scaled it to multiple vans. And then, once I kind of got that taken care of and we could pay the rent, then it was like, okay, I had really gotten into this to scale something and create a unique brand in this space.
Yep.
And this wasn't going to do it. Yep. And so, do I sell it? Do I go get a job? Or do I try to figure this out?
Yeah.
And after a couple of years in the space, I was like, man, there's a massive opportunity. If someone can figure out how to create scalability and a better margin in this space, because there's unlimited customers.
Right.
And so we ultimately, kind of that the term pivoted. We pivoted.
Yeah. Refined. You refined.
Yeah, I know it's an overplayed word, but it's like we opened a grooming salon and turned it into a training center, but like internal to the daily operations.
Sure. Yeah.
And so we got kind of
test kitchen.
Yeah, totally. But we also went and bought the curriculum from a grooming school.
Interesting.
And then worked people through a process where we ultimately turned them into to groomers.
Yeah.
And we opened 2 locations that way while running the mobile business. So we were producing groomers now that could feed the business and also feed the mobile business.
Yeah.
But it also turned out we were feeding the entire community, and vets had a lot of 100%. Groomers. And so we were training them, and they were going to get paid more to vet, who actually oftentimes was paying them at a loss because they wanted just to generate traffic.
Yeah.
And so then I couldn't compete with that. And so that was kind of like section 1 to section 2.
Yep.
And then, kind of an aha. That's really when the aha started to hit me around scaling grooming or scaling artistry is really a challenge. Like, scaling artistry, I think I always kind of said it internally, it's kind of a fool's errand trying to scale artistry.
Sure.
And the only way to scale a grooming business is to get rid of the groomer, because that was the biggest bottleneck, right?
Yeah,
and so then
100%.
we kind of figured there was a whole bunch of things dovetailing that ultimately led us to Scenthound.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. How much of that kind of similar ideology did you take when you started franchising? So you're creating these groomers, now you're creating these business owners. Similar process, similar learnings?
Yeah, so when I think about scalability, it's about finding kind of the simplicity on the other side of complexity. So there's a whole bunch of things that need to happen. It's a really complex process. How do you really distill it down to the simplest things that have, the 80-20 rule, the 20% of my activity produces, 80% of my results. Like, how do you find those things?
Yeah.
And ultimately with the Scenthound model, we opened 5 locations. We ran hundreds of experiments to identify that 20% for everything.
Sure.
And so we created scalability.
Yeah.
Once we realized that we had solved the model for scalability and profitability, then the next question was how to, do we want to amplify it, and how do we want to scale
fuel
this?
on the fire? Yeah.
And it's like a fractal. So in the sense of like, okay, franchising is the same thing, right? So we had to go through that entire process all over again, which is, okay, now how do you scale business owners?
Yep.
So you've got kind of the business itself with all of its scalability and all of its features in it. Then you got a business owner, and how do you get them through identifying a location, doing the build out, hiring the team, getting members in, creating a great customer experience, training their own people, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. That makes a ton of sense. And I'm curious, over the 20 years, your wife builds the first website. The millennial population is driving this. They're also adopting tech at faster rates than every other generation. How has your kind of digital or technology game improved or changed over the last 20 years?
Yeah, so some of the insights we had was it's about health, not about haircuts, right?
Yeah.
And so we got rid of the styling and the breed standard. We do haircuts because it's part of health, but just kind of a standard one length all over. So it wasn't really the brand, the breed standard. And so the other thing that we realized is we were actually capturing the dog's health data.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And that's really where Scenthound came in. Scent stands for skin, coat, ears, nails, teeth, which are the 5 core areas every dog needs care. Well, every time we were getting a dog in, we were evaluating them on those 5 core areas and then educating the dog parent about their health.
Yep.
And so one big insight was, wait a minute, we're actually capturing a lot of data. Sure. And my true belief is, as we kind of think about AI and the technology, data is really going to be the massive differentiator.
100%.
And using data specifically to personalize and curate solutions for dog parents.
Yep.
And so how do you start to get large amounts of data in so that you see trends, patterns, and then you can then use your technology to say, hey, did you know, based on the data that we have, if you do this, again, it's that simplicity on the other side of complexity. There's all these things out there you can do. There's all these products out there, but I'm going to tell you the one most powerful one to do.
Yep.
And you can be a much better dog parent because you're going to help your dog live a happier, healthier life in the most economical way possible.
Yeah, I love that. When obviously data analytics are like a big part of what we do in Flamel.
Yeah.
One of the ways I always think about data is it's kind of in 3 tiers. One is like display. Show the person the data. The second is insights, show them why that data matters and what they can do with it. And then when we think about the third one, for us, that's always about like automation. What can I do for them based on these insights so they don't have to take that next step? What does that look like for you guys? Because I think like the data collection you guys have is fascinating. It's unique outside of veterinary care, I'd have to imagine, for who has this data. Like, where does that go for you over the next 10 years?
We've spent a lot of time on our infrastructure in the back of house, and it's quite honestly kind of a pillar of our our future plan, which is that collecting kind of objective data. And then, if you think about kind of one of our members, they're coming every single month. We're identifying issues in advance in a proactive way. We introduce solutions, and then we actually track their health after that. So every single dog we have is a longitudinal study.
Yeah, that's great.
And so now we're doing it at massive scale. So I think we're getting close to 150 locations. Yeah. And we're collecting data for all of those dogs coming in every single day, every single month. They're coming off to not every single week. And so that information then feeds back into that loop of us to like, okay, great. Now we're seeing these trends based on these solutions. Here's the efficacy of these things. And we can continue to create that flywheel and refine better and better solutions for the dog parents.
So how long before you verticalize all those other solutions into Scenthound?
Yeah, so I mean that is actually a big part of our strategy is as we get more and more data.
That makes perfect sense, right? Like, because if you can hyper-personalize a medication even, right? Like if you know this is going to work, how can you be the one to prescribe, be the one to fulfill, be the one to ship, be the one to show that it worked afterwards?
Yeah, totally. And I think, we're moving into the age of intelligence, right? Yeah. And so the AI, it's right in your name. The AI tools out there are advancing really quick. And so I think what differentiates a successful business from a not successful business in the next 2 years, 5 years is having proprietary data, because 100%. Intelligence is going to be ubiquitous, right? Yeah. Everybody's going to have access to this level of intelligence. So I'm going to be able to use my phone or whatever device it's going to be in the next 5 years to get answers right away. But if I've got proprietary data and not, I've got your dog's data, but you can only do so much with that. But if I've got
you can anonymize it across every breed, everything, right?
If I've got 1 million dogs coming every single month into our centers, and I actually know that data, and then I can use AI to be able to create a recommendation engine that basically now hyper-personalizes and curates solutions for you. It's just a better solution for the dog parent, right? Because it creates the easy button for the dog parent. And so that's really how we think about, and we're well down the road on that. We're already doing some really cool stuff there. And so right now we're just kind of in that scale phase and the data collection phase.
Yeah, I think I love that you're thinking about it like this. Honestly, I wasn't expecting you to be this deep on that and kind of go through all that. So this is fascinating. I'm super curious, like, what does that team look like? Do you have a team of data scientists, software engineers? Like, what's going on inside the organization level to induce that activity?
Yeah, so I think part of our success and the reason we kind of like, a lot of franchises, and we've done a lot of research on franchising, kind of hit that 50 and flatten out, or hit 100 and flatten out.
It's
I think
definitely
it's
a
something like,
plateau.
yeah, I think the statistic, and forgive me if I didn't get it exactly right, but I think the statistic something like only 16% of franchise systems ever get over 100 units ever. And only 5% of franchise systems ever get over 100 in under 10 years.
Yeah.
And so we hit the 100 mark in kind of 3.5, 4 years.
Yeah.
And I think it's because we invested resources early and built a lot of the infrastructure early. And part of that infrastructure is building our own technology.
Yeah.
So how do we use this technology to capture information in the back of house? How do we automate, membership management and all the things the front of house should do? And so we have a tech team, a really robust one, and we've built several platforms, a consumer app really about giving millennials kind of the ability, and everybody
do it where they want to do it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the choice to access when and how they want to access this, and then these tools for our team members to be able to augment them, like to help them become more effective, efficient, and be able to make better decisions and better recommendations based on real information.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I even just think about the unique insights you can get. Like, you can tell me the health of a Cocker Spaniel in Maine versus Southern California, right? Like, there's so much contextual data that you guys could acquire to then like just really create a full color presentation of what you're doing. It's like really fascinating.
I think we're really uniquely positioned, and I think franchising has been a really beautiful model for us to be able to scale rapidly because
absolutely.
And so it's the symbiotic partnership with people who provide the capital to help to open stores and the labor and it's 100% win for them, and then it's a win because we actually create this entire ecosystem that benefits all of them.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I love that. What most excites you about the data you're currently collecting? Like, what are you're sitting there thinking like, oh my, I can't wait for this to get out. I'm excited for it.
I mean, we're already starting to get there, but I really think kind of a paradigm shift is happening in the pet space. So, you used to think about like, oh, I want my dog to have a specific breed standard haircut. It looks like this.
Sure.
And really shifting people out of what I think is a very old paradigm to a new paradigm, which is, hey, how can I be the best dog parent possible? And how can I expand the health span of my dog? Because I want them with as long as possible because they're my family member now, 100%. Right?
Yeah.
And I'll just say, we're in the people business, right? So if I can get you to empathetically connect with your dog and their needs, you actually have lower blood pressure. You actually live longer. You actually are happier. So the benefits for the human are equal, if not greater.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I love that. As you've gotten to this point, like you're in such a fantastic position. How has your confidence changed? Like, I would assume you still have moments where you're like, oh God, we're screwed. I can't figure this out. Like, what has changed for you personally as you've gotten to where you are today?
Yeah, I kind of it's kind of fun to say like we're an overnight success that took me 20 years to achieve.
That's how it is.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
so I've like, and it's fun because I love the entrepreneurial journey too, right?
Yeah.
And it's fun, like, when franchisees come in and it's, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? And you're like, I've thought of everything. Like literally, if you've been doing this 20 years, like, and don't get me wrong, like I am still learning all the time, and our 100%. Franchisees do come back with great insights, and the landscape's changing, but my confidence level, just because there's just been so much time and energy thinking about this in this space, that I'm very comfortable now. How can I be the best franchisor? And you probably experienced this as well, but like, when you're at this size, it requires a set of skills and behaviors but then when you get to this size and this section of the trail, it's actually a whole new set of behaviors, and you need to reinvent yourself if you're going to stay relevant. And then you get to this size, and then that has to happen again. And so understanding kind of those cycles or plateaus that you go through, I think is a critical part of the entrepreneurial journey. And right now we're actually coming out of a plateau and going through another growth cycle because we had to reorganize and relearn and learn a bunch of new things, which is going to take us from that 150 plus, right? Yeah. And then probably around 300, 400, we're going to hit another plateau, and we're like, oh,
Yeah.
What are we doing wrong? What new skills do we need? And we'll continue to go through that series of processes. Yeah.
I think that's such a healthy way to look at it. And I think a lot of people don't realize that is that there's stages of the company that you either have to change or you're no longer the right person, right? And
totally.
If you can't gain that skill set, then all you're doing is hurting your company once you get to that next scale.
Yeah, I think really well said. And ultimately, the mantra I have is I can't become the bottleneck to this business, and most CEOs become the bottleneck to their own businesses. So how am I becoming the bottleneck, and what do I need to do to change that?
Yeah, you're like clearly a student of the game. I can tell, right? Like everything you've done. I saw you were like super involved with EO and all that stuff. Like, how much are you studying literally just the act of entrepreneurship, like the act of business building?
Yeah, it's funny. It was about 6 months ago. I felt stuck again because we were jazz banding when we needed to marching band it, right?
Sure, yeah. That is awesome motive I'm going to take. I like that. Yeah.
And it's a description I give a lot internally. Like, guys, there's some things that you can jazz band, but in general, we are no longer a jazz band. We are a marching band. And that means everyone has to have their sheet of music. We have to Yeah. And so I was actually stuck and I wasn't quite sure what we needed to do. So I just went on a deep dive and I read like 6 or 7 different business books around kind of where I was stuck. And so that's kind of the typical, I just go back into student mode.
Yeah.
And you know what? I've read so many books, you kind of get like, I know it, I've been there. But you read it and you're like, oh, I see it differently this time.
Yeah.
Or I totally forgot
right?
about that.
You've fully changed since the last 100%. Time you've read it, right? What have you ever read The Obstacle is the Way?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Fantastic. Yeah, that book right there is one that I read that one whenever I feel what you were feeling 6 months ago. I feel like that's a good one that brings me to it. I love that. Transitioning a little bit, we teased it a little bit, but what started this was I was sitting there having a conversation about the economy, and I was like, I wonder if this shifts at all, right? Because I think how people own their pets and how they live with their pets has drastically changed, as we've talked about. Do you think how the economy is now, where interest rates are changing, a lot of uncertainty in it, do you see pet care spend changing because of that? Or are people still leaning in because it's now such an emotional bond they've created?
Yeah, so we went through the Great Recession. We've been through the pandemic. And so we've had having the longevity, we've had kind of 2 great
economic
experiences which are relevant to kind of what I think is going to be happening again today.
Yeah.
And in both of those cases, there's a panic moment, there's uncertainty, and people put on the brakes, they pause and kind of try to figure things out.
Yep.
Every single time, though, very quickly after that, people actually double down on their pets. And it's because, and my thesis is, and I think it's probably right, dogs have been kind of coevoluting with humans for over 10,000 years.
Yeah.
And they've been functional for us. So, hunter-gatherer days for hunting, agrarian society, kill the rat in the barn, herd the sheep, pick up the duck out of the middle of the lake. And in today's society, there is this important and symbiotic of a relationship as it can be, but it's about anxiety.
Yeah.
And so I think pets in general reduce anxiety.
Yep.
And so when you go through a pandemic and you're in the middle of a pandemic, your anxiety goes through the roof. And you're like, I'm so thankful for you, dog, cat, whatever it is, for the comfort you give me. How do I take better care of you? Yeah. And so you see a pause and then you see an increase in spending. And that happened both in the Great Recession, that happened in the pandemic. Yeah. And we're right about that right now because there's a lot of tremendous amount of uncertainty. Yeah. And it's multiple facets. There's a political uncertainty that's going on right now. It's very disruptive.
Yeah.
But there's a technology disruption that's happening also.
100%. And everybody's going to lose their jobs, right?
Right. And so just the amount of anxiety going on out there. And so what we're seeing in a very short term is people like evaluating, should I be spending my money on a franchise? That kind of that process
100%.
is gotten like we're still firing, but it's gotten a little harder in the sense of like it just takes a little
longer
care.
Sales cycle, right? You gotta be a little more intensive with it, maybe a little lower conversion rates.
And members are still coming, but you can see them a little conservative around spending. That's, I think in the next 6 months, all of that is going to now start to really accelerate. So we're at the pause before the acceleration. Yeah. Again, we've seen this twice. My confidence level that we're going to see it again is super high just because we've been through it. And it's human nature. So, during the Great Recession, if I'm laid off and I'm working from home,
Right.
Like all of a sudden I'm paying more attention to my dog. Like they're there and they make me feel better. Like
it's
they
the
make
one
me feel
thing,
better.
it's the one thing.
Yeah, totally. You love me. No one else loves me.
That's, yeah. That's fascinating. So my wife is a clinical psychologist and owns a psychology practice, and we have those exact same conversations, right? Where it's like the unfortunate thing about our business is that the worse the world is, the better the business is, because it demands it. When you think about that, I mean, I love that direct tie you've created there, like around this anxiety, mindfulness, kind of the emotionality of pet ownership now.
Yeah.
How does that impact how you brand? Do you market that? And what do you guys kind of say to get that point across to the consumer?
Yeah, I think fundamentally built into our model does that. So dog 100%. Parents oftentimes come to us because they don't want to wash their own dog. They don't want to clip their nails.
Sure.
But the stickiness, why they stay with us is they want to be a good dog parent.
Yeah.
Right. And so as we educate them every single time they come in, hey, before you get your dog, let's go through your scent check. Let's talk a little bit about what we found and how you're doing, and let's encourage you or just give you a kudos for doing a great job. Whatever it is, we are now empathetically connecting you with your dog.
Yeah.
And so it's built into the model where it's this education, which creates the engagement, which creates the stickiness.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. I mean, I think that's fascinating. What does that look like, I guess, when you think about, would you consider yourself a premium offering? Or are you trying to be right in the middle? Like when you try to think about how you're positioning yourself in the pet care market comparison to your competitors, where do you guys try to put yourself?
Yeah, we're definitely not the discount offering, but when I think about where economic value is created, it's through bundling and unbundling.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is like grooming is like kind of 13, 14, 15 services bundled together.
Sure.
Well, we unbundled it so that the memberships for all dogs, and it's just kind of 4 basic services. Mm-hmm. All dogs need that. And then pay for what you need. Right. So now I create flexibility in the model, which gives optionality to my dog parents. So if I'm on a budget, I'm going to do the basic stuff, the basic core stuff I need to do. But if, I've got a little more wherewithal and I want to take better care of my dog, maybe the supplement is the right thing to add on. Or maybe some extra dental care is something I should be doing. And so we've unbundled, which is unlocking economic opportunity, because now if I've got a golden doodle, I'm going to add on a haircut. But if I've got a golden retriever, I'm probably just going to do a brush on and blow dry, not the haircut. Right? So now that optionality. And so when we think about our positioning actually is premium, but affordable, because hyper personalization is the ultimate value. It's ultimately the value, right? But but not pricing people out of the market so they can be dog parents and they can choose what level to come in at.
Yeah, no, I think that makes a ton of sense. I love that. Well, that's been fascinating. What we always like to do, we get into a section of just quick hitters where I ask you kind of a few questions in a row. You give me your Rorschach response in 5 seconds, if that works for you.
All right. Yep. Great.
Pet care trend you think is overhyped today?
Maybe it's because I'm in the industry.
Yeah.
But I always see like these creative grooming where they dye the dog and it looks like all these other things.
Yeah.
I just see that all the time. And I get that there's artistry in grooming. Obviously we're going the other direction, but I think that's way overhyped. That's not the message we should be sending out to the community of dog parents. I think there's probably a better message we could send.
It's like the early 2000s of celebrity, right? Like the dogs are just going through that evolution. What is your favorite dog breed besides any that you may own?
So I love all dogs.
Yeah.
And, I used to be a big dog guy. Then I started to fall in love with small dogs, all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
But I think maybe the best way to answer this is when people ask me if you were a dog breed, because we do this kind of stuff internally.
Yeah.
What dog would you be? I always answer Belgian Malinois.
I don't even know what that is. I've got to Google that.
It's a super cool dog. It's a working dog. It's a guard dog. Super athletic dog.
Oh, cool. Okay.
It's loyal. Cool. Like there's a lot of really cool things about it.
Love it. That's a fantastic answer. What's something you've recently changed your mind about? I feel like that doesn't happen enough in the world. So what's something that you've done it with?
We had a really interesting debate earlier this year with our franchise advisory council. Mm-hmm. And I have always been an advocate for source solution, meaning, okay, we have a problem in the franchise sphere, whatever it is. What's the source of that problem? Let's fix the source so that it's never a problem again. What's the one thing that solves all things? Mm-hmm. In that debate, I actually changed my mind about symptom solution.
Interesting.
In some cases, it's better to solve the symptom. And the analogy that was given, which I thought was really interesting, is if you've got a cold, sometimes it's better just to take care of your sinus problem or your cough or your headache so that you start to feel better and you start to eat a little better and you maybe rest a little bit better. Yeah. And so I used to go from source solution 100% of the time to now very specific source solution in some cases, symptom solution in some other cases. And I know that's a bit conceptual, but that was a big thing I changed my mind on.
No, I mean, I think it's fascinating. You've changed the way you solve problems. So that's pretty impactful to your day-to-day life, I would say. What's something most people don't know about you?
Well, this is a story I haven't told many people, but when I was 6 years old, I was actually visiting family in Washington State, and one of my uncles had a farm, and on that farm he had a dog which was a hybrid. It was hybrid wolf and German Shepherd.
Oh wow.
And I actually got attacked by that dog. I had stitches all over my face and all over my back as a 6-year-old. Yeah. And it's pretty crazy. I'm in the dog business now.
And you loved big dogs.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe I'm just not that bright. But
it's actually deep-seated emotional trauma that's driving into all this. You know?
Totally. It might be. Who knows?
Hopefully not. Well, fascinating. That's all I've got, Tim. Genuinely, this was an awesome conversation. Like, really appreciate you. Really going through kind of the evolution of the brand, but understanding where you guys are coming from a data perspective is fascinating. Like, we do this a lot, and I think you guys are clearly ahead of the curve. That's really awesome to see. Thanks for sharing all that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the conversation. We're having a lot of fun, and thanks for having us on as a guest.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always like to, at the end, like a late night show host, give you a minute, sell what you want to sell, tell people where they can find you, anything like that.
Yeah, so we're really creating this new category. It's about kind of preventive routine hygiene for dogs to help them live happier, healthier lives, ultimately to help you live a happier, healthier life. Yeah. And so check us out at scenthound.com. We really transition people from like, I don't want to wash my dog to I want to be a good dog parent. Yeah. I know everybody out there wants to be a great dog parent. So check us out and we can help you be a great dog parent in a really fast, easy, and affordable way. Or if you want to go on the entrepreneurial journey, we love entrepreneurs. And so come along for the ride. We're very mission driven. Our mission really is to help make the world a slightly better place by helping people practice love every single day by connecting with their dog. So it'd be awesome if you want to join us on this mission.
That's awesome. Awesome. Well, Tim, thank you again for your time. Everybody else, thank you for listening to what has now been another episode of Behind the Franchise. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And please come back for the next show. Talk to you guys later.